Hello and welcome to ATS. Today we want to talk about a pistol that I just recently acquired that is not a new pistol. It's actually a Smith & Wesson Model 669, and it was built between 1985 and 1988. That's when they were manufactured. This particular one was about 1986. It's a 9mm semi-automatic. Uh, it weighs about 26 ounces. So the length is 6 7/8 inch. It's about 5 inches high. The barrel is 3.5 inches, and they originally shipped with a 12 and 14 round magazine. This is a double single action with a decocker and a safety. And we'll talk about that if you don't know what the double action single action means. So first of all, got to make safe. Magazine is out. Chamber is empty. Okay. So this pistol was actually originally when they started making them in 1985. Law enforcement, the police department, and actually detectives were using these. It's a double stack. And basically, it was kind of their introduction, Smith & Wesson's introduction to a concealed carry. So, again, it was used by detectives and law enforcement. This actually was used in 12 different movies, as well as the television series Miami Vice. So it was pretty popular in those years. It's currently in single action. The slide reciprocated, it cocks the hammer, and it is a bobbed hammer. So once the hammer is dropped, there's no way to grab the hammer. So this has a decocker, and a decocker is, you don't know what that is. When you pull this down, it drops the hammer, but it does not fire the gun. It has a very simplistic decocking system inside of here. When you lower this, it actually puts a block in front of the hammer so the hammer cannot hit the firing pin. So if you watch here, watch the hammer as I decock it. You see it come up? So it's resting on a block so that it cannot fire. So when I look at the internals and how it works, it makes me a little less leery to decock it. Okay, so also once it's decocked, it's in this mode. The gun is useless until you take the safety off. And then you can fire it in double action. Again, that first shot would be double action. Your follow-up shot would be single action. Now, I think I mentioned this also has a magazine disconnect. Okay? So in California, that's a big deal. California requires a magazine disconnect. I know a lot of other states do not. But the reason that this has it is because, again, it was used by law enforcement, and law enforcement required their weapons at that time to have a magazine disconnect. And the reason for that was if they were in a hand-to-hand combat with somebody, and somebody was trying to get their gun away, they could hit the magazine release, drop the magazine, kick it out of the way, and the weapon was rendered useless. So hopefully you had a backup weapon on you. So as I mentioned, it is a double stack. It originally was 12 and 14 rounds. In California, we have to use 10-round magazines, unfortunately. But so the grip is wide, and you've got nice texturing here. On the front, if you can see that, it's got lines. They're not real aggressive, but they work. But on the back strap, if you can see that, is very aggressive. So that really, really helps you get a good purchase. Fits really good in my hand. Now, again, the double action is a very long double action, and the trigger has to come almost all the way to the rear of the trigger guard before it drops the hammer. And same thing in single action. In single action, you're that close to the wall before it, and it's just a short travel, it breaks. And the reset is literally right about there. It's like 1/60th of an inch. Very, very close. Now, you can carry this with the safety on, and when you see when you hit the safety, again, what it does to the hammer. When you hit this safety, it actually lifts the hammer up, so you're good that way. So you can carry it that way, or, and this is a little scary, with a round in the chamber, you can pull the trigger back just slightly, bring the hammer to about that point, and let loose. Well, a little further, right there. You'll let loose, and now it's in a half cock. So you can carry with a round in the chamber, the safety off, and all you have to do now is pull the trigger, finish the shot. So that might be a little scary for some people, but that's how it is. Now, I've looked these up, and I've seen a lot of them online, but all of them that I've seen have a stainless steel slide and aluminum alloy frame, which this does. But this one, I'm assuming somebody polished this. They polished the stainless steel slide, and they polished the actual aluminum frame. Or they had it plated. I'm not sure. It's beautiful, but fingerprints are really, really a big issue with this. You got to really keep it polished. So if you can use it all the time, that's a little bit of an issue. So anyway, one more thing about Smith & Wesson is on the frame, right, or on the slide. I don't know if you can see this. And I'll throw a picture up here of this. It says "Made in USA," and then it says Marcas Registrados, and then it says Smith & Wesson, Springfield, Missouri. And I thought, what in the world is that? Why is there something in Spanish on a Smith & Wesson pistol? Well, I started to do a little research, and what I found was, back in this is how the story goes. In 1930, Mexico was creating an inferior clone of the Smith & Wesson revolvers. And so Smith & Wesson got wind of it, and they started putting this on all their revolvers and semi-automatics, and I believe that started in 1948, if I'm correct. And now the revolvers still, to this day, still have that on them. I don't see it on the semi-automatics. Like I have a shield, and I don't see it on the shield, but I still see it on all the revolvers. So that's interesting. If you know different about that story, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Or if you have any questions or comment about this particular gun, go ahead and leave them in the comments. Now, this gun did have a recall, and or this model had a recall, and this one was never addressed. And I am not sure that I would deal with it. And that is if the gun is in half cock, where you just literally bring the hammer back that far, let it go, it's in half cock, you should be able to decock it. And that was the problem. It would not decock. So, in my opinion, that wasn't a big deal. You just put it back in fire, drop your magazine, rack the slide, and clear the weapon. So I have not done that. I have not sent it back. I contacted Smith & Wesson, and they said they would take care of it because it was a flaw in the design. But my issue is everything is polished here. If I get a new slide, they said they'd probably replace the slide. I don't know if the slide would be polished, and so that's why I'm holding off on it. And I don't think it's a big issue. But anyway, if you have information about this particular model and you know something that I haven't mentioned, please go ahead and feel free to mention that and help me learn it as well. In the meantime, this is my review on the Smith & Wesson 669. Until next time, remember, shoot often, shoot safe, and God bless.